the Who's On Postgame report here at John Paul Jones Arena. I know it's a weird feeling. We're back here in John Paul Jones Arena. First time we've seen Ryan Odom and the Cavaliers here at JPJ this year as they beat Villanova 75-72 in a little preseason exhibition, final tune-up before we get to the season, which is just over a week away before that season opener against Rider here at home. But wanted to hop on here, give a couple post-game notes here. One moment that kind of stuck out to me in the first half was Tester Ritter, after a miss, pressures up the court, forces a turnover, gets the steal, and then a dunk. Then, off the inbounds play, Elijah Gertrude forces a steal. Ball eventually ends up with Devin Tillis, who hits a three. That moment right there, so quick, forcing two turnovers, getting easy buckets, shooting threes. That was kind of what Ryan Odom basketball was to a T, and that's kind of what you saw there, a little glimpse of it there in the first half. This is the first time we've really seen these guys, because remember, Vanderbilt scrimmage last week, you couldn't see that one, only on radio, so some of the fortunate people there in Nashville, they got to see that one. But this was kind of the first look at this. And there was some good, there was some bad, a lot of turnovers on the night. Virginia had 18 turnovers to Villanova's 11 turnovers, but they also scored 19 points off of turnovers. 16 of those came in the first half. The second half, a little clunky. There was a stretch there where Villanova and UVA towards the end were combined 2 of 19 from the field. So got a little bit of clunky towards the end. Looking at the players, Malik Thomas continues to be exactly as advertised. 16 points to lead all scorers for Virginia. Did it in multiple different ways, hit 3 of 4 from distance, got to the rack a couple times, got some and one opportunities, really showing that 3-level scoring ability that Virginia's going to rely on this year. Had a great scrimmage last week against Vanderbilt where he scored pretty effectively there. Continues doing that today and played the most minutes for Virginia, which is something I think we're probably going to see. I think outside of Malik Thomas, I think everyone else is going to kind of be under 30 minutes as the season kind of progresses, maybe the average at the end of the season. The next highest after Malik Thomas was Dallin Halls, who I think had a good rebound after the first scrimmage where had some turnovers, only had 1 point. On the night he had 7 points, 5 assists, did have 3 turnovers, but also created a steal. So a little bit better for him. He looked like he was controlling the pace and the flow of this offense at times with those 5 assists and, had some creative finishes up under the basket. Didn't connect on his only 3-point attempt. The international guys, Johan Grunlow, 12 points, 8 rebounds, 8 of those rebounds, or 5 of those 8 rebounds coming on the offensive glass. He was great picking up the ball after missed 3-pointers. Did a good job there, just kind of being active around the rim. 2 block shots, 2 assists. And Ugano Onyensu off the bench also made a really big impact. He only played 14 minutes overall, but it felt like he played more because he made such an impact while he was in there. 7 points, 2 rebounds, 3 blocks, including one that he pinned off the glass off his forearm right after he had an alley-oop out there. DeRitter, got to see a little bit more of him as a ball handler in this offense, kind of seeing that for the first time. There was a really good big-to-big pick-and-roll play that they were running there with DeRitter and Grunlow. DeRitter drove to the hoop, missed the layup, but Grunlow followed up for a tip-in dunk. So I like to see kind of what those guys do matching up there going forward. But overall, Ryan Odom said that it was a much better effort as far as their full court press. They were a little bit better in that 24 press, going full court than they were in that first scrimmage against Vanderbilt. So that's improving. Defensively overall, a little bit better tonight than they saw in that first scrimmage. But the offense looked clunky at times, and that's something Ryan Odom pointed out, especially in the first half. We were ready to see that offensive pace, from the get-go, and it kind of looked a little bit like last year's offense at times where, things just kind of looked a little clunky. They weren't sure, they weren't in rhythm, and that's all to be expected. It's an exhibition game. They're trying to get a feel for each other. The one thing, though, that I asked about is the rotation. Is it how much they wanted to rotate? Obviously, they're going to play a few more players, probably some more minutes than they normally would. They played 11 here tonight. Odom said that's probably going to be between 9 and 10 once the season starts. But the rotation, they were subbing guys in almost at every timeout. By the first media timeout, they've subbed the entire starting lineup. So it's that's how quickly they want to sub. Ryan Odom said that's the style that he played when he was in college at Hampton City, and that's kind of how he wants to, because those minutes add up when you're playing that fast of a pace. But overall, some good notes here tonight. A Villanova team that was missing at least a couple players, if not one, a really good one. But so, how much can you take from an exhibition game? That's the question. As more of these exhibition games kind of become public knowledge and you get more people into a stadium to watch these kind of scrimmages. So we'll see kind of how that progresses. But, little more than a week now until we get the real deal, the real season opener, the real debut here at John Paul Jones Arena. We'll be there all along the way. Of course, this is the first of two Who's On post-game reports of the weekend. We got this one tonight after the Villanova scrimmage, and then I'll be down in Chapel Hill tomorrow as UVA looks to make it 6 in a row against the Tar Heels and Bill Belichick. You can catch that, as always, on the Who's On post-game report on our YouTube channel and over at thesabre.com. We'll see you after tomorrow's game between Virginia and UVA down in Chapel Hill.